Everyone knows that men have zero self-control and that lust is entirely women's fault, right? Yeah, not really. Hey guys, in this video, I want to talk to you about Christian modesty from a guy's perspective. So if you ever ask yourself questions like, should women wear bikinis? Or what does Christian modesty look like? Or is modest really the hottest? Stay tuned. Hey guys, my name is Justin and I want to welcome you to That Christian Vlogger. It's a place where you get to come and join me and experience faith in the first person. If you're new here, I post videos like this one several times a week, so definitely consider subscribing. And if you happen to like this video, go ahead and hit that like button as well. If you do a cursory search on YouTube for the phrase Christian modesty, you'll see that the first 10 videos on the subject are all videos done by women for women. Now, I can't say that I've watched all of these videos, but I have watched several of them and they nearly all say the same thing. Women need to be aware of what they wear and do their best to dress modestly because they can be a stumbling block to their male brothers in Christ. And while I appreciate this sentiment and I definitely admire where the heart of this is coming from, I thought it might be helpful for some of you to actually hear a guy's perspective on Christian modesty. When I hear people talk about Christian modesty, I can't help but think that they've missed the entire point. Give me just a few moments to explain myself. Several years ago, I was a student of a very conservative Bible college, and overall the time that I spent there was arguably one of, if not the single most life-changing experience I've ever had with my walk with God, and that place was and continues to be some of the best years that I get to look back on. So don't mistake what I'm going to say about this school as knocking it, because I still massively appreciate what this school did for me. So this school, like I said, was super conservative in their approach to the subject of Christian modesty. Women were not allowed to wear tank tops or spaghetti straps. In fact, I believe they weren't even allowed to show their shoulders. Shorts and skirts were only ever allowed as long as they covered the knee, because anything higher than that was forbidden. And not only that, there was a no jewelry policy, and while they never actually said it aloud, there definitely was an unspoken culture in which makeup was looked down upon. In short, anything beyond a brown potato sack was just deemed inappropriate. Just kidding, that last sentence was an exaggeration, but the rest really was exactly how the culture was. And again, I want to appreciate my close female friends for putting up with such a stringent standards, as I know one of, if not the main reason why you did it was to protect us guys from lust. So here's the problem, and honestly a bit of a confession. The truth was that even when you went to that length, even when you followed all the rules, the truth was that we guys still would struggle with lust. We still would have to, in a very real sense, wrestle with impure thoughts and feelings. And yes, even when you follow the rules perfectly, there were still at times things running through our heads that really shouldn't have been there. And I'm pretty sure that I was not the only one. Or at least I hope so, otherwise this video's kind of awkward now. Now, you might think that with all the great lengths that my female classmates went to, that this would make our battle easier, right? Wrong. It actually made it harder. Why? Because this approach to combating lust puts the blame on the wrong person. We as Christians treat the issue of lust as though it were the women's problem, and we combat this problem by telling women what not to wear, but completely ignore the guy's part of the equation. See, no one ever sat down and told me as a man how to combat lust in my own heart and in my own mind, and as a result, this is still something I struggle with to this day. So here's what I've learned in the last several years about lust. Lust doesn't start with a hemline, and lust doesn't start with seeing some cleavage. Lust starts in the mind. Lust starts in my own mind. And you know how I know this? Because if I really want to, I can make lust a non-existent thing. No amount of skin or length of clothing can influence whether or not I'm lusting or not. And I'm not claiming to be able to do anything supernatural here. In fact, I believe that every single guy can in fact do this. Now, some things that I don't talk about much on this vlog is that I actually have several sisters, and they are beautiful women, and any guy would be lucky to have them in their life. I also happen to have several female cousins who are absolutely gorgeous, and the Koo family, for better or for worse, happens to be generally well endowed in the booty region. Now, unless you're blind, it would be impossible to not notice how beautiful these women are in my family. And objectively speaking, from a male perspective, they just are gorgeous. They just happen to have many of the physical characteristics that men happen to look for in women. And now, while this is true, do you think that I've ever lusted after any of the women in my family? Of course not. A huge heck no. Why? Because I've never allowed my mind to wander there even for a moment. And I know that thinking about these particular women in this particular way is completely out of bounds. And if I can think about the women in my family this way, who's to say that I can't also approach other women this way? Who says that I can't notice that every woman, yes, has been beautifully made by God and yet still not visualize them as a piece of meat? Well, I can. You see, again, because lust starts in the mind, and when we tell women that it's their problem if a guy lusts after them, we actually hurt both parties. You ladies feel shame over the body that God has given you, and you begin to feel guilty for a sin that you're not even committing. So how can that be healthy? Not only that, we end up screwing our guys over too. If the issue of lust starts with excuses about what other people are wearing, we immediately neuter ourselves from any power of overcoming. And by putting the blame on others, we're in denial about our own issues and will never ever confront them. In short, blaming women for the thoughts that guys have not only hurt the women, but hurt the guys as well. So, gentlemen, if you know how to not lust after a genuinely attractive female family member, then you have all the tools that are necessary to overcome with other women too. You see, by submitting to God and allowing the Spirit to take control, you actually don't have to be a slave to your more animal-like passions, even if that woman is in fact dressing less than modestly. Why? Because overcoming lust has nothing to do with Christian modesty. Overcoming lust has everything to do with allowing our minds to be renewed by God. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, therefore, that women should just go running around acting like a bunch of Babylonians. And I'm not saying that for Christian women, anything should go and you shouldn't consider modesty at all. Why? Because the Bible still talks about the importance of simplicity of dress, and the Bible does still place a significantly higher emphasis on the inward spiritual adornment instead of the outward physical one. You see, what I'm saying is simple. A guy's problem with lust is simply that. It's the guy's problem. And while the way women dress do in fact impact how easily it is for us to overcome, it's still our problem. And as men, we need to take a greater responsibility for our own thoughts and actions and stop blaming the women. That game got old way back in Genesis, and we haven't benefited from it yet. So, women, as a man who struggles with lust, thank you so much for being considerate of how you dress and being supportive of your Christian brothers. To the guys, let's step up to the plate. Let's take ownership for our own shortcomings. Let's stop making excuses and really strive to be the men that God has called us to be. That's all for today, guys. Huge thank you to all of my lovely friends over at Patreon for supporting. And if you'd like to further the mission of this channel, even a few dollars of support over at Patreon would make a huge difference. As always, if you enjoy this video, share it with a friend, and I will see you guys soon. Until next time, I'm that Christian vlogger, and I want to encourage you to experience faith in the first person. God bless.